The NFC North was one of the most competitive divisions in the NFL last season, with the Detroit Lions finishing 12-5 at number 1 in the division, but then the Bears just 7-10 at the number 4 spot, but they got insanely better this season, which means next season the NFC North is going to be insane. All of these teams were in contention to make the playoffs. Now, this offseason, was filled with different challenges, different, free agency moves for each of these teams getting better from the jump. Now, this next season is going to be massive. But in this video, we are going to break down all the moves from each team and give them each a letter grade to see who truly won the free agency period so far. Now, this is going to be a new series I do, so comment down below which divisions should I do next, and also comment down below who do you think won the division in terms of free agency. With that being said, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and here we go. Let's get into the NFC North free agency breakdown, and let's get right into it. Alright, now the first team I want to break down is actually the Minnesota Vikings. They're in a very intriguing spot where they need a quarterback. Kirk Cousins signed with the Atlanta Falcons this offseason, leaving them in a little bit of a hole. But with that being said, they didn't let that fog their vision, right? They went out there, made some really good moves, and also have some potential to go here in the NFL draft and add an absolute stud at the quarterback position. So let's break down the Vikings first. Now, when we start on the offensive side of the ball, there are a couple of things to look at. Obviously, we can talk a little bit about Sam Darnold. I don't think he's going to be someone who comes in as a big, impactful player, but you never know. Maybe a change of scenery, once again, can help him develop into maybe a starting quarterback. But I think the reason to look at this is he will probably be that bridge until whoever they draft, if it's a J.J. McCarthy, if it's a Bo Nix, a Michael Penix, whoever that quarterback is going to sit behind Sam Darnold for a couple of weeks before he gets to take over the keys, is what I'm guessing. Maybe he even wins it in the offseason. But one thing to really look at here is Aaron Jones. I think this is a really good pickup to start the offseason. I mean, right away you look at it as a division rival running back for pretty much his entire career, right? Ever since 2017 when he entered the league. But has always been a very consistent running back, right? 5 yards per carry throughout his NFL career is absolutely insane. Even putting up a 16 touchdown year back in 2019, over 1,100 carries, 5,900 yards, 45 touchdowns. The man's been really good and versatile as well in the passing game, has been productive. But the one thing that this move looks at to me is when you look at the running back room, you have Aaron Jones, you have Ty Chandler, Myles Gaskin, Dwayne McBride, right? You have some guys here, but what this shows me is they're going to draft the running back and allow it to be a 1-2 punch until the guy who they draft is ready to take up the shot and be the bell cow for the foreseeable future, right? They add him to a 1-year deal, and when you look at their stats from last season, they were terrible in their running game, right? Number 24 in yards per carry, number 29 in rush yards per game, and number 30 in rushing touchdowns per game. If the Vikings go out here and draft a running back in the 4th or 5th round, I guarantee you he will see some work unless they think Ty Chandler is that guy. Now, this is where I want you guys to let me know. Do you think they should draft a running back to develop behind Aaron Jones, have Aaron Jones be that mentor but also starter for the year, or should they just roll with Ty Chandler as the backup going forward? But then defensively, they absolutely went insane. Now, with the Vikings losing Danielle Hunter in the offseason, they needed to desperately go out there and add someone like this man, Jonathan Grenard, to their roster to at least give them a fighting chance to get to the quarterback. Now, listen, this is one of my favorite pickups. After 4 seasons in Houston, including his 2023 campaign that featured 12.5 sacks, the man is coming off a breakout season with the Houston Texans and needed to find a new home. The Vikings is the absolutely perfect fit. You look at a team who needed some more pass rush help. This is it right here. He had 15 tackles for a loss, 22 quarterback hits, and the 26-year-old is young, still developing, but now gets a chance to create havoc in a Brian Flores-led defense. This one is my favorite, but they didn't stop there either. And then they added Andrew Van Ginkel, right? Brian Flores is reuniting with Andrew Van Ginkel here. I think he was a guy who the Dolphins actually drafted with the third round pick back in 2019. And again, Flores is adding another guy who can come in here and get to the quarterback. Van Ginkel has recorded 17 career sacks, including another career high last season with 6. You're talking about two guys coming off the best seasons of their career and now get to play in a Brian Flores-led defense. I mean, it is going to be fun to watch these guys come in here and make some plays. Not only can they get to the quarterback, but Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel, extremely versatile. And then there's Blake Cashman, a guy who is returning to his home state after 3 seasons with the Jets and 2 with the Texans. And again, what do we talk about with Grenard coming off a career year, right? Van Ginkel coming off a career high in sacks, right? And then you talk about Blake Cashman, who recorded 106 tackles, 9 tackles for a loss, 5 quarterback hits, 5 passes defended, along with his first NFL interceptions with DeMeco Ryans as head coach. Texans do a great job getting their guys to their full potential. Blake Cashman is entering the prime of his NFL career, going to the Vikings, who desperately needed to add a linebacker to the mix, a team who struggled in terms of tackling last season a little bit, and now just get even better. You pair him up with Ivan Pace Jr., who was a beast last year. Man, this linebacker core with Grenard, Cashman, Pace, and Van Ginkel, unbelievably better. Overall, I'm going to give the Vikings a B-, which is actually going to be the lowest grade of the division. However, I just want them to go out and make some more moves, and I really need them to go get a quarterback, right? So if they come away with a JJ McCarthy or Drake May or someone that we really do like at the quarterback position, this grade would skyrocket, right? I just don't like replacing Kirk Cousins with Sam Darnold. I know that's probably not going to be their last move at the quarterback position, obviously, but I think that is the most important position to add to, right? But other than that, I think defensively they have made some great moves. I think this defense really got better after losing Danielle Hunter. I'm going to give them a B-. Let me know what you would give them. But let's move on to the next team. Let's go to the Green Bay Packers. Alright guys, before we finish off this video and get to the rest of the NFC North teams, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new. If this video gets up to 500 likes, we will be posting non-stop content for the rest of the offseason, covering the rest of free agency, the draft, training camp, mini camp, everything you need to know about the NFC North going forward. And if you guys want more of these type of videos, comment down below saying, or just say the number 1. Say the number 1, comment down below which division should I do next. Join the family, and with that being said, let's get right back into the video. And remember, it's free to join the family and subscribe, so make sure you guys do that. Let's jump right back in. Now, in my opinion, the Jordan Love-led Green Bay Packers were probably in the best position coming off last season, making a huge playoff run. They didn't really need to go out there and add too much to this team, but the 2 players they did add couldn't be more perfect fits. They got a brand new starting running back in Josh Jacobs, who will come in, be a day 1 starter, be a versatile guy who can both catch the pass and run the football really hard. And then you go on the defensive side of the football and replace some safeties with one of the youngest, best safeties in the NFL, and Xavier McKinney. Let's talk a little bit about those guys. Now, the first thing we're going to notice here when we look at the Green Bay offense from last season, they ranked number 14 in rush yards per game, number 20 in rushing touchdowns per game, but actually were pretty decent in terms of yards per rush, right? But the thing about this Green Bay offense that you really need to look at here is Josh Jacobs adds versatility and unpredictability. In the NFL, unpredictability is the best thing that you can have, right? Especially at the running back position. Now, what I mean by that is when you look at last season, they had Aaron Jones and they had A.J. Dillon, right? Now, what that means is when Aaron Jones was in the game, they were more likely to pass the ball, right? Now, when A.J. Dillon was in the game, they were more likely just to hand it off, get those small yardage, those 3rd and 1s, those 2nd and 1s, right? Those small down situations. They were kind of predictable. Josh Jacobs is a guy throughout his career who has been really, really productive in terms of getting into the end zone on the ground, right? Is coming off a bad year. Do got to give him a little bit of credit because he's had so many head coaches, so many offensive coordinators. The man has never had a consistent coach or consistent offensive coordinator over his career, right? But also you look at his versatility in the receiving game, right? 37 catches, 53 catches, 54 catches. The man's always been someone productive in the pass game, and I think this season with the Packers, you'll see it even at a higher probability, and I think it will make them a lot more dynamic and versatile in the offense. And I think that is extremely important when you're trying to run, one of the best offenses in football. Quite frankly, with Jordan Love, number 8 in the NFL in points per game, this offense was really good, but needed to get better. Josh Jacobs does exactly that. Now, we already talked about how the Packers added versatility and unpredictability at the running back position, but that is literally the same thing they did defensively as well, right? We're talking about one of the most loaded safety groups in the NFL for free agency, right? Xavier McKinney was one of the best available, right? And he fits exactly what the Packers want to do, right? That versatility aspect. Guys, he can play deep, he can play close to the line of scrimmage, next to the box, right? He can do everything you want him to do. He can even go in the slot as well, right? So again, you add the unpredictability aspect where you could put him wherever you want. He's really, really good in playing more than 1,000 defensive snaps last season, according to Pro Football Focus. McKinney's time was divided between lining up 46% of the time deep and also 38% in the box, but also 16% in the slot. So again, very, very versatile. He got off to a rough start in his career, but has been really, really good ever since. This is a guy that can come in here and make an impact right away. Now, listen, McKinney is a guy who can blitz, he can drop back into zone, he can play corner, he can play man, he can do everything you want him to do. And when you look at the Green Bay Packers defense from last season, they ranked number 28 in interception percentage, number 13 in pass yards per game, and number 18 in yards allowed per pass. Xavier McKinney is a dog, and he's going to come in here right away and be a game changer for this Green Bay Packers defense. And quite frankly, that is all they needed to do in free agency, at least so far. Overall, I'm going to give the Packers an A+. Now, the reason being is because they got better today. They got younger, they got faster, they got more dynamic, more versatile, and more unpredictable. I think that is the main things you need to have a successful football team. And then you talk about the development of Jordan Love going into another season as the full-time starter, developing chemistry with their wide receivers who are extremely young. This team is a better football team from last season to now, right? A+, I think they went out there, they didn't force any moves. And what I mean by that is they didn't sign a bunch of players just to sign a bunch of players. They went out there, made the moves they had to make, and are now patient, right? Going into the draft, trying to get better in that aspect. Where do you think they need to get better from here? Maybe add another safety, whether that's in free agency or the draft. I think whatever they do next, it has to be a good pickup, right? Because so far, they've been so good. But let's move on to the next team. The next team we're going to cover is let's do the Chicago Bears next. They're in an interesting spot. Now, at the end of the day, I think the Bears had an unbelievable free agency period. You look at all this green, all these new pickups. You talk about Keenan Allen at wide receiver alongside DJ Moore and Tyler Scott. That could be absolutely insane, right? You had a brand new starting center, a brand new starting running back in DeAndre Swift with Khalil Herbert, with Roschon Johnson. I mean, they're extremely deep at the running back position, but the one area they needed to improve the most is depth at offensive line. Last season, they had so many injuries up front and no one to back those guys up. You bring in Matt Pryor, who, I believe started some games last season. Ryan Bates of Buffalo, I think this is a good addition. Versatile guy who can play inside, outside, wherever you need him to go. You got a guy in Jay Curran. And then you bring in a backup tight end, right? Gerald Everett. I think this is going to be one of the most underrated pickups of the offseason. A vertical threat, can get down the field, and can make plays happen. And then you have Cole Kmet. I mean, again, the versatility of this team is insane. You got an extremely good route runner. You got a nice guy who come in here, route runner, 50-50 guy ball. DJ Moore is a good guy as well to have. And then Tyler Scott, it has all the speed in the world to burn guys down the field. And then you talk about DeAndre Swift, who brings everything you need in a running back as well. Can catch, can run, has the quickness, the athleticism, the speed, elusiveness to be a really good running back in this league. And then we talk about Tyson Bagent. Yeah, just kidding. We're not talking about Tyson Bagent. We're talking about Caleb Williams. Now, Caleb Williams is one of the most interesting prospects I have ever seen at the quarterback position. Has a little bit of an ego, a little bit of antics going around with him, but at the end of the day, the talent oversees everything else. And when you look at Caleb Williams and his play style, the man has the potential to be that guy, right? And if he is that guy, this Bears team goes from a quarterback in Justin Fields, who quite frankly I liked, right? Didn't have the best season in the world, but obviously still had time to develop, and I still think he's got time to develop over in Pittsburgh now, right? But Caleb Williams can maybe step in and be that day one guy to come in and be like a CJ Stroud type. Now there's also the possibility that he's not that guy, right? And if that happens, it might be hell over here in Chicago. But at the end of the day, I have faith that Caleb Williams has all the talent in the world to come in here and change the offense here in Chicago, right? With Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Tyler Scott, Gerald Everett, Cole Kmet, a brand new offensive line with a brand new starting center, some backups, right? If there's injuries, you still have Cole Kmet. I mean, this offense is loaded from the top to the bottom. And then defensively, they come in here. They add a starting tight end in Kevin Byard, someone who can really turn over the football, really make some plays in the air. I think Kevin Byard is going to be a huge addition to this defense as well. Now, when we look overall, the Chicago Bears rank number 19 in points per game and number 19 in points allowed per game. Obviously, their running game defensively was insane, and even offensively, nobody could stop them running the football-wise. But they were complete opposites in the passing game, right? This is where Caleb Williams is going to come in and make up some ground. They rank number 24 in completion percentage, number 26 in sack percentage. Again, they brought in a bunch of new linemen. It's going to be a big competition year for those guys in training camp. You got number 26 in interceptions thrown, number 27 in pass yards per game. Obviously, this team needed to pass the ball more frequently. We are now kind of in that passing game era. Caleb Williams is no doubtedly a better passer than Justin Fields already, and obviously, I think he still has that potential to be a runner on or with his legs as well. Defensively, they weren't too bad, right? Number 32 in sack percentage. Hopefully, bringing back Montez Sweat for a full season, pairing up with DeMarcus Walker and the two young guys in Javon Dexter and Zach Pickens, they might be able to get to the quarterback next season a lot, right? Number 1 in interception percentage. Guys, they add Kevin Byard, probably one of the best playmaking safeties in the NFL in terms of forcing turnovers. Unbelievable pickup, and they're probably just going to get more interceptions this season. They also rank number 25 in pass yards allowed per game, number 24 in completion percentage allowed. They needed to get better in some of these aspects, and I think they did. Obviously, or also adding Jonathan Owens, former safety of the Green Bay Packers, a special teamer in Amen Ogbongbuma, and also bringing Jacob Martin from Indianapolis. I think the Bears had an A- offseason. I think there is a lot of growth for the rest, right? You got to bring in that Caleb Williams at quarterback, and then you got to continue to fill out the roster. Now, what that means is probably the DB position, bring in some more depth here. I know you have Terrell Smith, Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, Kyler Gordon, but still want to load up here maybe on some veteran leadership, as well as maybe in the defensive tackle room as well. Offensively, need some more wide receivers, and maybe even bringing a wide receiver at number 9. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Roman Duza. I mean, man, this Chicago Bears team could be different. I'm going to give him an A-. Drop down your letter grade down below. If Caleb Williams is that guy, this Bears team might be the best in the NFL. Now, the NFC North champions last year, the Detroit Lions, actually had a really good offseason as well as getting some really bad news at the same time. Now, at the end of the day, last season, the Lions were one of the best offenses in football under Jared Goff, ranking top 5 in points per game. They were averaging 27 points per game, which is absolutely insane. They had one of the best pass offenses and one of the best run offenses in the NFL. So obviously, to start with, they didn't need to get much better in the offensive side of the ball, right? You have Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Dave Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, right? Offense is set, but they even still got better, adding a Pro Bowler, an All-Pro guard, and Kevin Zeitler, who will be a day one starter from here on out. And now you have Taylor Decker, Graham Glasgow, Frank Ragnow, Kevin Zeitler, and Penei Sewell. I mean, this offensive line is going to be the best in football, and it's not even going to be close. But then defensively, they come out here and added some day one starters that are going to be massive for what they do defensively. Now, if the Detroit Lions want to win a Super Bowl, we got to fix the defense, man. Number 25 in points allowed per game, number 29 in yards allowed per play, number 27 in fourth down conversion percentage, 30 in red zone scoring, 24 in touchdowns allowed per game. The defense just wasn't there, right? They also ranked number 22 in rushing touchdowns allowed per game. How do you get better on that aspect? aspect, well, right away we look at DJ Reader, one of the best nose tackles in football. You look at that number, that is going to go way down, right? They're probably going to be a top 10 defense just because of adding DJ Reader in terms of stopping the rushing touchdowns, right? You also have Marcus Davenport, who is a guy who can get to the quarterback. He's not extremely good, but someone who is an upgrade, and you add him alongside an Aiden Hutchinson, I think that is going to be a deadly duo. And you have Lee McNeil as well. I think he's a really good football player, a really good guy in terms of, creating pressure. But then we talk about Carlton Davis, right? Carlton Davis is a guy who can come in here, be a day one starter, a Super Bowl champion, and a guy who can really help out this pass defense. They ranked number 30 in yards allowed per pass, number 10 in interception percentage, number 31 in pass yards allowed per game. The pass defense needed a big upgrade. Carlton Davis is a Super Bowl champion. He's a veteran, a leader, and a guy who wants to win every single possession, can play man, can play zone. We even heard that Jamar Chase said he was the toughest DB he's ever played. I mean, guys, Carlton Davis is so underrated. I know a lot of people don't love him, but he's a big pickup, right? And then you have Cam Sutton, who is gone, right? Cam Sutton, you don't see him here, got arrested. He is probably going to be going to jail for a little bit. Don't really know the situation, but he is gone, leaving a big hole in their defense. At the cornerback position. Meek Robertson coming over from, Las Vegas might not be the day one starter, but definitely a guy who can add depth. You also have Emmanuel Mosley, who I like as well. All these guys are, relatively lengthy. You still have Brian Branch. Defense is not bad at all. I think they made the right moves in terms of, stopping the run, getting to the quarterback. They've gotten better in that aspect. And just, in the cornerback room, they got better as well. So, you look at what they've done. I think there are still moves to make. I really like the Kevin Zeitler move. I'm going to give them, I think I have to give them a B+, man. They were so good last year. They didn't really need to improve too much, but I feel like losing, Cam Sutton, who they really did like, I feel like that hurts. But if they go out here, add someone in the draft at the cornerback position, or add someone like a safety who can come in here and be versatile, I think this team really got better. And offensively, they're going to be unstoppable. Defensively, they got better in the aspects they need to get better in. I'm going to give them a B+ with the potential to get up there by just making a couple of moves here in the draft or the rest of free agency.